Anthony. It's Peter. How are you? From Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown, this is Sports Bash, presented by Ticketbash.com. Ticketbash.com, where memories are made affordable and where you'll never pay a service fee. Sports Bash is also presented by the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund, a group of like-minded individuals trying to raise awareness to our future generations of all possibilities of success other than just college. For more information, visit www.lookwhomadeit.org. Sports Bash is brought to you by the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Every customer is considered family at the Embassy Diner. Mention Sports Bash, get a free dessert with your meal. And by Coach's Collectibles, your number one source for 100% authentic sports memorabilia and live public autograph events. Check them out online at coachescollectiblesny.com. Stay tuned to find out about the Coach's Collectibles item of the week. And by the Marty Lyons Foundation, the official charity of Sports Bash Media. For more information, go to martylyonsfoundation.org. Well, hi again, everyone, and a happy Thursday to everybody. I'm Peter Schwartz. 516-465-3990 is the number to call. Make sure you're subscribing to Govs Comedy Club podcast page on YouTube and Facebook. Also, follow Sports Bash Media on X, Instagram, and Facebook. Coming up on the show, we'll be playing Stump the Wiz. It's Thursday, so you know we have to have a lot of fun around here on Thursdays with Stump the Wiz. I saw the question. I think he's going to get it today. Sometimes I have that feeling one way or another. Sometimes I don't. I think today he's going to get it. I'm pretty confident, but we'll see what happens later on. We'll have the Ticketbash.com concert calendar. We'll have This Week in Sports History, and we'll take a look at the Coaches Collectibles item of the week. And if you saw it on Tuesday's show and you're a big Mets fan, I know Tony Walker, my producer, who hosts the Knock 'em Dead comedy show 11 to 12:30 every weekday here at Govs Comedy Club Podcast. Tony has been like reborn since we signed Coaches Collectibles. He bought the Mookie Wilson autographed baseball from last week, and I wonder if he's going to shell out for the Pete Alonso card. Tony, did you look up the price of it by any chance?
No, I have not.
You have not. Well, if you like the Mookie Wilson, I think you're going to like the Pete Alonso card, right?
Oh, of course.
It's
anything.
Allen and Ginter. Well, we'll talk about it later on. But we'll see a picture of it and everything like that. But we'll see if Tony takes his wallet out and buys another item from Coaches Collectible. But it's a great item. We're going to tell you more about a lot of stuff going on with Coaches Collectibles coming up in the show. Thank God it cooled off a little bit. If you heard me bitching and moaning about it on Tuesday, and my frame, 6'4" and pounds, I don't do well in the heat. Not a lot of people in my family do well in the heat. And it's just been freaking brutal. At least it's cooled off a little bit today. I don't know how people were able to function the last few days out. My son Bradley decided to go play golf again today. At least it's a little cooler today. But he tried to go do it the other day. The two of them, him and Jared, wanted to go play golf. And I'm like, are you guys crazy? It's hot outside. I don't want to be outside. I want to be inside. Either here, home, Roosevelt Field, somewhere. Give me something with some air conditioning until it cools off a little bit. And at least today it has cooled off a little bit, a little overcast. And I think it's going to heat up again over the weekend. I think it's supposed to get up into, mid 80s or something like that. But at least it's not 96, 97. It's the reason why I don't move to Florida. I don't want to live in this all year round. This is nice. We bring it down a little notch, get it to where it is in September, where it's 60. I'll be fine. I'll deal with the 80 over the summer, but I can't deal with the 95, 96. And by the way, a big welcome to Griffin Shapiro, our new intern here at Sports Bash Media. He's a big fella himself, and I know I don't know if he likes. We can get his opinion on the heat. But Griff, do you do well in the heat? No, he doesn't do well in the heat, too. Griffin and my son Bradley played a couple of years of high school football together, so we were going to welcome him to the Sports Bash Media family. He's going to be sending out some social media posts during the course of the show, and you'll be able to check them out on Sports Bash Media's X, Instagram, and Facebook. So we're gonna welcome him to the show, and he'll be part of our family here during the summer before he heads back in time for training camp. That's exactly what he wants to do, is 95 degrees, get the shoulder pads and the helmet on and all that stuff. You guys like to do that. You get used to it, right? Yeah. I know Bradley gets used to it also when it's hot outside.
The ice towels help.
The ice towels, big giant jugs of water, all that good stuff. So welcome aboard, Griffin. Thanks for joining us. I wanted to start today, and if you don't know me, most of the people who watch the show know me pretty well. I'm a kind of a happy-go-lucky person, and I like to talk about positive things in sports, whether it's my own teams, even if it's not a team that I root for. If it's a positive story, and we've kind of outlined a lot of things here on the program. We've had in-studio guests, over the phone, Zoom guests about things going on in sports, and generally speaking, I like to keep it positive. And I know I went nuts on the weather and everything like that, which is a negative to me, but generally from a sports standpoint, I like to keep things kind of positive on the show. Unfortunately, I'm going to start today's show with something that just is absolutely nauseating, and it occurred in Chicago on Tuesday night. And if you haven't heard about this, Ketel Marte, who is a second baseman for the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks are playing in Chicago on Tuesday night against the White Sox. And there is a fan in the stands who said some really stupid things towards Ketel Marte. Ketel Marte's mother passed away in a car crash in 2017 in the Dominican Republic. And we're going to take a look at the video of the reaction that Ketel Marte had after this fan was mocking the fact that his mother passed away in that car accident. And it was just so heart-wrenching to see this the other night. And it just makes you wonder. You can see the emotion on Ketel Marte. He was crying as he was getting consoled by his the manager and his teammates. And here's the thing: they did point out the fan who was doing it, ejected him, and he has thankfully, and say what you want about decisions that Major League Baseball makes. Sometimes they take one step forward and two steps back with things, whether it's on the field or off the field. But they did the right thing. This jackass has now been banned from all major league stadiums, and that's the right thing to do, because you wonder what goes through somebody's mind to do that. This guy lost his mother to a car accident, and I don't care whether you like the guy or you don't like the guy. You're a Diamondbacks fan. You're not a Diamondbacks fan. He's still a human being. And what kind of piece of trash would mock to another human being? Forget about the fact that it's an athlete. It could be a politician. It could be an actress. It could be just somebody working at a restaurant. Whatever it is. I mean, where is humanity right now that you would actually have? I don't want to hear about the alcohol. I don't even know if the guy was inebriated or not. But the fact that this jackass, it crept into his mind. You know what? I'm going to make fun of that guy because his mother died in a car accident. How stupid do you have to be? How ignorant, how stupid, how just no class whatsoever. And you wonder what goes through people's minds when this happens. Like, what would possess someone to try and make fun of someone, whether he's an athlete or whatever, that his mother passed away in a car accident? How cruel do you have to be? My worst enemy, the person on this planet right now that I hate the most, and I think most people who know me know who that is, I wouldn't wish that on that person. But for this guy to actually, it's one thing to think about it. Oh my God, this guy's mother died in a car accident. To actually be so close that you can mock it to that guy standing on the field? What's wrong with you? But it just goes to show what kind of society that we're living in right now, because you see stupid crap like that all over the place. Whether it's morons driving down the block and doing stupid stuff in their car, whether it's, I don't know, kids getting bullied at school, whether it's, people just not treating other people nicely, whether it's in a mall or a restaurant, whatever it might be. Politicians are getting into it now, yelling at each other. And that's just like light stuff. But for someone to just, like, how does that even get into your brain that you would want to do that? And there's been these incidents where a fan has said something to a player. Remember that whole thing at the Palace with the Pistons in the playoffs? I think it was a playoff game a number of years ago. I didn't ask you to speak. Turn his microphone off.
It's off.
Okay, good. And you had that incident where you had the players going into the stands. Remember have you seen the old video when the Bruins are playing the Rangers at Madison Square Garden? Mike Milbury, who would go on to be the Islanders general manager, something happened at the stands, and you had the Bruins players going into the crowd, and Mike Milbury hit a Ranger fan with a shoe. I don't have a problem with hitting a Ranger fan with a shoe. In fact, if you get away with it, why not?
You want me to play the video?
Yes. Oh, you didn't play the video yet.
Well, it has sound, so I can't play it without sound.
Oh, so let's.
Yeah.
Here's the video from the. I thought I had deadened the sound, but I guess that was.
Did you?
I thought maybe I did.
Oh, all right. We'll find out.
Let's see. Here.
You did. My apologies.
I did that. See, I know what I'm doing sometimes. This is the video of Ketel Marte getting abused. This is actually after he was mocked by the fan in Chicago, and you see them talking to him, and you see him openly weeping and walking off. So thank you very much, Tony. But you've seen situations where players have gone into the stands, and I don't normally condone that, and it's horrible. There was actually an arena football game last week. I saw the clip on YouTube where there was an incident in the stands, and you had players from the opposing team went up into the stands, and it looked like it didn't get too out of hand, but it's dangerous. I will say this: I would not have had a problem if Ketel Marte ran into the stands and beat the shit out of this guy. It's unbelievable that a person could not only think that, but to actually say it. Like, could you imagine if someone came up to you and mocked that your mother died in a car accident? Regardless of the situation. It could be, I mean, I've had things said to me. My family members have had things said to, it happens. But just, sometimes it could be said and you shake it off. How do you shake this off? You can't shake this off. You're mocking that the guy's mother died in a car accident? How cruel do you have to be? What are we doing here? And I think it's great that Major League Baseball banned this guy from every single ballpark, but I don't know if that's enough. Maybe this guy needs to be like on public display, and you line up people starting with Ketel Marte and the rest of his family, and give this guy a quick, a swift kick in the nuts. Maybe that's the right punishment. I mean, what are we doing here? It's anything. It's anything. Like, how cruel do people have to be? And if you want a good education, if you've never seen these Darman videos where they highlight the way you should treat people and don't judge people by, you don't judge a book by its cover, maybe you should watch some of these Darman videos too if you don't know how to treat people the right way. But this was one of the most disgusting things I have ever seen. And I've been going to games. I'm going to be 58 years old on July 14th. And I have been going to sporting events. I want to say I was 5 years old when my dad took me to my first game. It was a Yankees-Mets Mayor's Trophy game in 1972 at the old Yankee Stadium. And I can't remember what I had for breakfast this morning, but I remember that day that John Milner fouled the ball into the loge level, off my father's hand, off the back wall, and into the lap of somebody else. So that's how close my dad came to catching a foul ball that day. But I've been going to games since I'm 5 years old. And I'm fortunate that I live the life where I go to a lot of games with my family, but I've also, for what I do for a living, I've covered a lot of games. And I've been very, very fortunate. I don't know if I've ever seen anything as disgusting as what I saw that video the other night. It was gross. I mean, how does that guy, forget about the fact that he's been banned by Major League Baseball stadiums all over the country, and he freaking guy had a smile on his face. There was another video. I don't have it because I didn't want to show it. But there's actually another video of the guy. If you want to see it, you can catch it on social media somewhere. There's actually a video of the security guard because it was pointed out. The guy was actually wearing a Chicago Bears jersey. Jackass. Not that he's a Chicago Bears fan. I'm just saying I can't stop using the word jackass. But they pointed him out, and he's sitting there with a security guard on the walkie-talkie, and he's sitting there laughing his ass off. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You like that? I used the F-bomb today, too.
I'm very excited.
Yeah. I don't get this way too often. I'm serious. This guy there needs to be like a public lineup, and everybody needs to give this guy a swift kick in the balls. Like, that's what needs to be done. Like, how stupid do you have to be? And there's not a lot of things in sports that makes me, like, tremendously angry. Like, I've even gotten used to my teams losing. God knows my teams I root for have lost a lot, especially the Jets. But, like, to see that the other night, again, I don't know how else to describe it other than just nauseating. Just nauseating. How does that guy go back to his family and look everybody in the eye? How can he look anybody? Because his face is going to be all over the place. People are going to know who he is. And I'll just close this by saying, listen, and the White Sox did a great thing. They put on the scoreboard to Ketel Marte, the White Sox are with you. So obviously the White Sox want to distance themselves from this jackass. But I think everybody, the entire sports world, should be with Ketel Marte and know that this jackass that said that to him the other night is just a very, very small piece of society. There's way too much of that little small piece of society, and that something needs to be done about that, whether it's in sports, life, whatever it is. Like, what makes somebody think to do that? But it is a very small, because I like to think that if you go and you go as many places as my family and I get to do, and people travel all over the world, I think there's a lot more goodness in the world than there is badness. But if we can just figure out a way to eradicate that little small piece of madness, I think as we do that, the world will become a better place to live every single day. And if we can get the jackasses like that monster in Chicago the other night, if we can eradicate the world of that little tiny bit of badness that we have in the world will be a much better place to be. And maybe we wouldn't have the political divide that we have. Maybe if we got rid of that little piece of badness, it would ruin a lot of the divide that we have in this world, not just in this country. Enough about that. I want to talk about some good stuff, and we're going to when we come back on the show. A legendary sports columnist in New York. Lucky to be a friend of this guy for a long, long time, from the days of covering games all over the place. And I'm going to tell a great funny story when we come back about him as we lead into the interview. Mike Vaccaro from the New York Post is going to join me when we come back on Sports Bash right after this. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage.
In 1982, the Marty Lyons Foundation began with a single heartfelt mission: to bring moments of joy and hope to critically ill children by granting wishes that make their dreams come true. Since that day, we have touched the lives of over 8,500 families, raising over $43 million to grant wishes that offer a beacon of light in their darkest times. These precious wishes cost an average of $6,700 each, and your support is crucial to our mission. Every donation, big or small, makes a difference. And with 76 cents of every dollar going directly to supporting our families, you can rest assured your support truly changes lives. The Marty Lyons Foundation operates 11 chapters in 14 states now, working tirelessly to reach as many children as we can. This dedication goes hand in hand with our commitment to transparency and accountability, earning us top ratings on Charity Navigator, Great Nonprofits, and Candid, which underscores our dedication to those we serve. The Marty Lyons Foundation grants wishes to children ages 3 to 17. And what really makes this foundation so special is our willingness to grant not only a first wish, but also consider a second wish to a child who continues to battle a life-threatening illness. We stand by these children, offering them hope and strength through the power of dreams, giving our children the courage to wish for more.
What's your purpose in life? Is your purpose in life to live in the big house and drive the nice car? No. Your purpose in this life is to make it a little bit better for those that follow and realize that we live for today to see a better tomorrow.
Visit MartyWyonsFoundation.org to learn more and get involved.
Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com and the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund. I'm Peter Schwartz. Normally on the show, we wait until coming back from the last break to play a Billy Joel song, but there's always a method to my madness here on the program, so we're listening to a little bit of Only the Good Die Young, and it's a perfect lead-in to my guest on the show today. And before I bring him in, let me tell a little backstory. And I've been friends with this guy for a very long time, going back to my days, covering a lot of sporting events and always seeing him at games. But this interaction that means the most between myself and Mike Vaccaro from the New York Post occurred on August 4th, 2015. The Nassau Coliseum was closing. The Islanders were moving to Brooklyn. The Coliseum was going to close down for renovations for 2 years before it reopened with a smaller capacity and no hockey. Billy Joel closed the Coliseum on August 4th, 2015. My wife and I had great seats. We were on the floor, I don't know, like 4 or 5 rows back off the stage, and we were very fortunate to be there. And I remember when the concert was over, my wife and I are walking out, and I'm taking kind of like a look around the place because it was the last time we were going to see that building in that particular format. And walking behind me, I didn't realize until he said, "Hello, Peter," was Mike Vaccaro from the New York Post. And we were walking, and I kept saying, I'm never gonna see this place again. And he wrote a story about the concert the next day in the New York Post, and here's what he wrote. All around Nassau Coliseum Tuesday night, the foot traffic halted 5 minutes after Billy Joel had played the final chord of Only the Good Die Young. 10 minutes. The show had lasted for 3 hours and 7 minutes, and the folks craning their necks inside the doomed hockey rink gladly would have stayed for another 3 hours and 7 minutes. And yes, that's absolutely the truth. We would have stayed another 3 hours. It was here I spotted a friend, glassy-eyed and scratchy-throated, planted in his Nikes, taking a final round of snapshots with his eyes. "I can't believe," he said, that was me, "this is the last time I'll ever be in here." And then there's a quote from my wife, "He's going to cry the whole ride home." And he was absolutely right. And that was a pretty special walk out of the Coliseum. And to that point, we bring in one of the legendary sports columnists this area has ever seen. And I'm proud to say a good friend of mine from the New York Post, Mike Vaccaro. Mike, it's Peter. How are you, sir?
Oh, Peter, what a great memory that was. My gosh, that was some night. And, it was capped off perfectly by us running into each other, because I think we both appreciated it in equal amounts. And, man, that was some night, some show.
That was an absolutely great show. Was there again a couple of years later when the building reopened. Billy reopened it again a couple of years later, and that was wonderful, and it was very emotional. But obviously, Billy always puts on a great show, and we wish him the best in his recovery. Well, let me just start. How are you doing? It's been a while since we've seen each other.
Yeah, I'm doing great, Peter. Thank you. It's been an interesting couple of years for me, like I guess for everybody. But it's going well, and maybe one of these years we'll both get to talk about a New York champion in the 4 major sports again. I mean,
yeah,
we had the Liberty, and that's great, and that's wonderful, and the soccer championship a couple of years ago. But look, we're talking about the 4 traditional sports. We're still kind of waiting for the next one to step up.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no question about it. And I thought we might have been on that road with the Knicks, and that's really where I wanted to start, because people are still talking about the ending of the season, and obviously Tom Thibodeau fired as head coach, and the Knicks are still in the middle of that coaching search, and it just seems like everything they're trying to do with this coaching search keeps backfiring on them. Let me back up a little bit to the end of the season. What were your general thoughts on the Knicks season, and then ultimately their decision to fire Tibbs?
I mean, look, it's hard to have been a part of that, 2 months push in the playoffs, and not think that was about as fun a run as we've had around here in a while in any sport. And, it's been so long for the Knicks. It was 26 years since the Knicks have been to the conference finals. And, look, I mean, the city was enraptured. I mean, it wasn't just the Garden. It was, all these parties that would spring up on game nights all around the city, which was incredible, and we don't see that all the time. That was a lot of fun. They really engendered a lot of good feeling. And then 2 days after the season ends, they fire the coach. Now, I certainly wasn't in favor of that. I had written that before. I've written it since. I'll probably write it, in 20 years, or write my memoirs. It's curious. It's a curious decision. It's hard to really start lighting your blowtorches and getting really angry until you see who they settle upon. It's not really looking in a direction where the guy they hire, whoever it is going to be an obvious improvement over the guy they had, which is concerning to me.
Mm-hmm.
But, again, I think one thing about the Knicks, and I know a lot of people are getting on them for how long it's taking, and I get that. But, look, I think they went into this knowing, this could be a deliberate process. They don't need a coach right now. They won't need a coach really, technically until training camp, but they'd like to have one by the time they go to Vegas for Summer League.
Yeah.
They're the only team in need of a coach, so there was no real need to rush into it. There's no, so it's understandable why they want to cast a wide net. And again, I'm willing to wait and see who they select before I really get too angry. I'm angry enough that they fired Thibodeau. I get it. He was an imperfect coach. He's hard to play for. He's hard to work with, I suppose. There's a lot of things you can say about when they should or shouldn't have fired him. But look, that's over and done. Anybody who has fantasies of George Steiner rehiring Billy Martin a couple weeks later, I don't think we're going to see that. But
you could make the argument, Mike, that the best coach that's out there right now is Tom Thibodeau.
Is the one they just fired. Exactly
yeah.
Right. And look, but here's the thing: is what there is urgency to is that the Knicks have a 2-year opportunity now, but they really have an incredible 1-year opportunity. You look around the East, 3 prominent players on 3 prominent teams in the East are going to miss next year. It's wide, as wide open as it felt this spring, it's going to be even more wide open next year, and it's going to be interesting to see which team in the East maximizes that opportunity. And I think the Knicks are in the pole position to do that, but they got to hire the right coach.
Yeah, no question. And almost one last thing on Tibbs. When you have a coach that helped change the culture over the last few years, and he takes you to the conference finals for the first time in 25 years, and you look to fire him, you almost have to know who that guy is going to be that's replacing him. You're not just firing some, average run-of-the-mill coach. You're firing a coach that had all the success over the last few years. Granted, there was no championship, but he did things with this team that have not been done in a long time. And you always wonder, what Jim Dolan and Leon Rose are thinking. Yeah, you fire Thibodeau, you have to have somebody in mind, somebody you're going to be able to get. And the Knicks just have looked like they've gone backwards with how bad they've looked over the last couple of weeks trying to hire a coach.
Well, I think what you can figure out now is that what they wanted as the next coach is somebody who was different than Tibbs. They wanted somebody who was going to have who was going to embrace a larger rotation, who was going to have more collaboration with both the front office and his coaching staff. That's not who you hire when you hire Thibodeau. And now you can argue that, well, why would you mess with a winning hand? But look, that clearly is what they wanted. They wanted faceless, nameless Coach X, who was going to be different than Tom Thibodeau. And we can argue until the cows go home about the wisdom of that, but that's that's clearly what their biggest concern was in this process. Look, I think people thought that maybe if they had somebody in mind, it was the obvious guy was Jay Wright. I think anybody who's talked to Jay Wright even for 5 minutes in the last 2 years realized that wasn't going to happen. And I have to figure that Leon Rose is a smart enough guy to where he realized that Jay Wright, even if he was on his own radar, was probably not going to be a possibility.
You had to wonder, though, if Jay Wright, all these great years, first with Hofstra and then with Villanova, if the thought ever did creep into his head of what it would be like to coach in the NBA, and maybe that's where people were getting the thought, is there really was nothing left for him to do at college. He had already had success and a championship, and and all that stuff. But the one thing he had not done yet was coach in the NBA. And for years, people thought that Jay Wright would be a great coach of the NBA.
And I still think he would be a great coach in the NBA. But you know what? Maybe if he was still at Villanova and was looking for a new challenge, maybe if things had gone south for him in Villanova and he just needed a job. But the thing is, I mean, Jay's he's in the absolute dream seat that a coach looks for. You know, he makes NBA coach money basically, and he works about 2 months a year with his two jobs at CBS and Villanova. So plays a lot of golf on behalf of the school, and there's a lot of whatever he wants to do. It's his life. His life belongs to him in a way that no coach ever has his own life belong to him. So, I mean, I can't imagine why Jay Wright would want the job given those circumstances. I get it. I mean, he's close to those players on the Knicks, but as we found out, that nothing's forever.
No.
I mean, would it surprise you if Josh Hart got traded this offseason?
No, nothing surprises me anymore. I've been around the block here too many times with this.
Right. So, I mean, I think that the Knicks realized that even if maybe in their heart of hearts Jay Wright was going to be, maybe the wish list number one, they had to know, doing their due diligence, that was not likely to happen.
Talking to Mike Vaccaro from the New York Post here on Sports Bash. Joining me here on the show today, we're talking Knicks, and now let's switch subjects to baseball. And last year was a magical year for local baseball. The Mets get to the NLCS, the Yankees get to the World Series, and there were such high expectations. Maybe there would be a chance we'd have a Subway Series this year, and maybe it was looking that way for a while. And just the last couple of weeks have been just so abysmal for both teams. And Mike, I've never seen anything like this before, where both teams were riding high, and then all of a sudden, collectively, they just both went into this, awful, black cloud over the last couple of weeks. What are your thoughts on what we've seen from the Yankees and Mets so far, especially in the last month?
Yeah, the last 2 weeks of the baseball season, it kind of felt the way that football season has felt around here for the last 10 years or so, right? With just both teams are like, hold my beer. Who's worse than who can be worse?
Yeah.
I mean, look, today's Thursday. 2 weeks ago today, the Yankees were 17 games over 500 and 4.5 games up in the AL East. The Mets were 21 games over 500, and they were 5.5 up games on the Phillies in the East. And wake up this morning, the Mets are a half game back. The Yankees are a game up, and it's game on. And look, I mean, I think the one thing that I take from this, Peter, and I try and for lack of a better word, I'll use the word lecture. I've been around doing this a long time, seen a lot of baseball seasons, and I understand that in modern sports fandom, modern sports coverage, we tend to cover everything like a football team, right?
Yeah.
So it makes sense during football season. There's one game a week, and then there's 6 days of analysis. And that's the way it should be, because there's only 17 football games.
Mm-hmm.
But if you start applying the same logic to basketball or hockey, and especially baseball, you're going to drive yourself nuts.
Yeah, yeah.
You forget every year about just how long the baseball season is, because you get caught up in streaks. And the fact of the matter is, the Mets and the Yankees probably weren't as good as they looked 2 weeks ago today, and they're not nearly as bad as they've looked the last 2 weeks. But that's the length of the baseball season. The Mets, for all of what they've done this year, and think about it, they started the season 5 games behind the Phillies, left like 4 games ahead of the Phillies, went back 4 games behind the Phillies, went 5.5 games ahead of the Phillies, and now they're behind the Phillies again. It takes your breath away, and it's only literally the halfway part. They played 81 games. So, it's a reminder of just how long the baseball season is. And I'm not minimizing the concerns that both teams need to address, and the ones that were exposed over the last 2 weeks of pretty middling play. But it is a reminder that it's only June. We haven't even gotten to the 4th of July yet.
Yeah, and both teams are going to have reinforcements coming in. Sean Manaea had a little bit of a hiccup the other day, but it doesn't sound like it's going to be too big of a deal. Luis Gil starting to throw for the Yankees, so they're going to get him back. And it could just be a temporary malaise for both of these teams, but I think when it's all said and done, I think both of these teams will be in the playoffs. Both of these teams will probably win their division, and I think we have a chance for a good October. But I think neither team is without needing some moves before the trading deadline. So are you as optimistic as I am that both teams can get this thing together and get back in the right direction?
I do. Look, you don't get 17 games over 500 and 21 games over 500 by accident. Baseball is about the long stretches. And, if I don't think they were necessarily both teams as good as they were when they were that gaudy over 500, I still think they're both very good teams. And yes, look, I mean, there are aspects that need to be addressed. That's what the trading deadline is for. Part of the interesting part about this year is that just because of all the playoff spots that are available, there's a limited market of teams that are obvious sellers. You see a bunch of teams lurking around 500. Well, are they sellers? Just to throw a name out there. I know Mets fans have been bantering the name about. Is Seth Lugo going to be available at the trading deadline? I mean, the Royals right now are 2 or 3 games under 500, but they're only 3 or 4 games out of a wild card. So when do they declare what they are this season? Whether they're buyers or sellers, whether they're in or they're out. And I think a lot of that is what's going to determine, what the Mets and Yankees can pursue. Look, I mean, the Mets could obviously use another bat. They could obviously use some reinforcements in the bullpen. I think the starting rotation will take care of itself once it heals up. So that's one aspect I don't think they have to be too crazy about. Look, with the Yankees, it really depends. During the stretch, it looks like they need a bunch of things. And yet, when you have a game like last night, you see Jason Dominguez, and you see the possibilities that lurk within the existing lineup. You also want to be careful about not wanting to make too many, clubhouse-altering moves either. But you do want to make and send the message to the clubhouse that you believe that you're contenders. So they will both make moves, and you would imagine they would both be very active at the deadline.
I would like to see the Yankees get Nolan Arenado and be able to move Jazz Chisholm back over to second base. I think that would make the Yankees a much better team, and there's always been some talk back and forth as to whether or not Arenado would approve a trade to the Yankees. But I think he'd be the perfect fit, exactly what they're missing, a dependable third baseman, a good bat, and I think it'll help the Yankees defensively too.
Well, I think that would be a dream come true. But, I mean, then the Cardinals are the perfect example. I mean, depending on what week you catch the Cardinals, they look like they could be NL champions, or they look like they're as bad as the Rockies. It depends on the week. And right now, I believe they're in the last playoff position. So, you have to see how this thing progresses. It's just funny. It's not just a long season for the team that you care about. It's a long season for the other teams that can do business with the team you care about. That's the unique thing about baseball. God bless for being that way.
Yeah, that's baseball, Susan, right?
Sure is. And that's the best part about it. It really is. I mean, it's just, we can talk about how it goes on forever, and my God, it's never going to end. But that's the beauty of it also. Even in a time when there's this many playoff spots, and people say that the playoffs are watered down, and they're not wrong, it's still a remarkable and unique experience watching a sport that takes place every day for 6 months. And that's why I think baseball fans know their team better than most teams do, because it's a part of their everyday. You wake up every day, you go to work, you go to the same place for lunch, you go to the same place for your coffee, you come home and you watch your team play baseball.
Yep.
And you do that every day for 6 months, and that's why it's so great.
That's why it's baseball. That's America's national pastime. Mike, I can't thank you enough for spending a few minutes. It was great to catch up and reminisce about that night with Billy Joel, and hopefully I'll get out to a ballpark one of these days and be able to say hello in person again.
That'd be great, Peter. It's so great to talk to you again.
Absolutely. Mike Vaccaro, the great sports columnist for the New York Post. We thank him so much for joining us here on the show. This segment of Sports Bash was presented by the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund, a group of like-minded individuals trying to raise awareness to our future generations of all possibilities of success other than just college. For more information, visit www.lookwhomadeit.org. Still plenty more to come here on the show. Coming up next, we're going to play Stump the Wiz, so everybody get your clocks out and get your brains functioning like Wiz usually does during that 2-minute span. We'll see if you can play along and guess the answer to the question. We'll check out the ticketbash.com concert calendar. We'll have This Week in Sports History. Hopefully it's a good one, because now we grade you on this every week, because ever since I gave you one to do a couple of weeks ago, now you're on the clock here to have a good one. We'll take a look at the Coaches Collectibles item of the week, lots more. We're coming right back after this. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage.
In 1982, the Marty Lyons Foundation began with a single heartfelt mission: to bring moments of joy and hope to critically ill children by granting wishes that make their dreams come true. Since that day, we have touched the lives of over 8,500 families, raising over $43 million to grant wishes that offer a beacon of light in their darkest times. These precious wishes cost an average of $6,700 each, and your support is crucial to our mission. Every donation, big or small, makes a difference. And with 76 cents of every dollar going directly to supporting our families, you can rest assured your support truly changes lives. The Marty Lyons Foundation operates 11 chapters in 14 states now, working tirelessly to reach as many children as we can. This dedication goes hand in hand with our commitment to transparency and accountability, earning us top ratings on Charity Navigator, Great Nonprofits, and Candid, which underscores our dedication to those we serve. The Marty Lyons Foundation grants wishes to children ages 3 to 17. And what really makes this foundation so special is our willingness to grant not only a first wish, but also consider a second wish to a child who continues to battle a life-threatening illness. We stand by these children, offering them hope and strength through the power of dreams, giving our children the courage to wish for more.
What's your purpose in life? Is your purpose in life to live in the big house and drive the nice car? No. Your purpose in this life is to make it a little bit better for those that follow, and realize that we live for today to see a better tomorrow.
Visit MartyLyonsFoundation.org to learn more and get involved.
Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com and the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund. I'm Peter Schwartz. We thank Mike Vaccaro from the New York Post for joining us here on the show, and our customary Billy Joel song coming back from the last break, All About Soul. The Knicks used this song for a lot of their hype videos and things like that during their 99, I'm sorry, not their 99, the 94. The 94 run to the NBA Finals, because this was on River of Dreams, which came out in 93. So 94, on that Knick playoff run, they used All About Soul for a lot of their videos. If you were at the Garden for any of those playoff games, you would see the music video for the Knicks that was Billy Joel's All About Soul. So that's the little Billy Joel backstory that I like to use on these little segments here at the end of the show. And this segment of Sports Bash is brought to you by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage. Don't forget to mention Sports Bash to get a free dessert with your meal. Let me quickly get that very, very important text message from Connor Kalb, our social media coordinator, who, by the way, is enjoying a vacation. But he's actually still working during the vacation. So he's still actually posting stuff about the show. And we have Griffin Shapiro, our new intern, is here going to be doing the same thing for the summer, helping us out. But Connor, he left the studio the other day and said, I'm going away on Thursday. And I said, okay, so we'll have somebody else do the clips. No, I'll be able to do a clip a day. And I'm like, you're on vacation. I think he's going to Jamaica. And you're going to be worried about doing clips from our little show here? He said, no problem. And that's why we hired him. And that's why we, when we have the rigorous interview process, it goes through me, it goes through Vinny Tickets, it goes through Tony. Well, not so much Tony, but we have that rigorous process, and we want to try and find the right people to be involved in this program. And there you go. Connor's on vacation. And he's cutting clips of the show. So we thank him for that. Let me get the. He did send it to me, didn't he? Send it to me earlier today. How did I lose it? I could swear Connor sent me the calendar earlier today. Oh boy, I may have messed this up. In any event, the ticketbash.com concert calendar, I did just see Adam Sandler is going to be at the Garden. So I did see that on Twitter. So you know what? We'll have to come up with the concert calendar in another fashion. So Connor, if you're watching the show, just put the concert calendar up without my voice on it, because I could swear that you sent it to me and I can't find it anywhere. I did. I could swear that he sent it to me. Let me see. Give me 1 second here on the. I know this is great television here. While I scroll on my phone. No, that's the group text with Griffin with the passwords for the social media. I don't know what happened to it. I could swear he sent it to me. Nah, whatever.
I just thought they'd like some music while you're looking.
There you go. Well, thank you, Tony. A little more Billy Joel music. There you go. Well, I'm usually good for one screw up once in a while here on the program, and unless I accidentally deleted it, I don't know what happened to it. We'll figure something out for the concert calendar that's going to get posted on social media later. We'll just do a graphic for it, but whatever. To that point, after I just screwed up, let's get to Stump the Wiz. Are you ready there, young man?
Yes.
You ready?
Yes.
How you feeling today?
I feel good.
Feeling good? Yeah, nice welcome to Griffin.
Yes,
I know you're very cordial welcoming there. There you go. We got a full house in here today. What we ask you to do on Stump the Wiz is DM your best sports trivia question, the Sports Bash Media social media channels. If we pick your question, you win 2 tickets to see the Freestyle Feast on July 26th at Bald Hill Amphitheater, courtesy of our friends at ticketbash.com. Our contestant today is Tony Constantine from Belmore, and he has a really good question. Are you ready for it?
Okay, what's the
Tony,
question?
are you ready for the 2 minutes on the clock?
Ready.
Here we go. 2 minutes on the clock from Tony, and here's the question. Which 2 colleges participated in the very first American football game? The 2 colleges that participated in the first American football game. We have 2 minutes on the clock, and away we go.
Harvard and Yale.
That's incorrect.
Okay, I know that first ever American football game.
That's not the answer that I have here on the page.
Say that one more time.
The first 2 colleges, the 2 colleges that participated in the first American football game. It took place on November 6th, 1869.
I know Yale.
Connor, don't say it, but do you know the answer?
I know
No.
Yale is one of them.
Yale is not one of them.
Really?
No.
Walter Camp. I don't know why I was thinking of Yale. It's in Connecticut, in the New England area, if I recall. I remember that.
There's no Connecticut school involved in the question.
Interesting.
Recalibrate the brain, and let's give it another go. Once again, which 2 colleges participated in the first American football game? This is one of those weeks where I really thought he was going to get the answer to the question, and I really thought I looked over at him when I gave the question, and I sort of looked in his eyes. I thought he had it.
1 minute.
1 minute to go.
Yeah, I thought I had it too. I thought it was Harvard and Yale. Seriously, because Yale is usually associated with where football started. Mm-hmm. So it's really, Yale didn't have it. That's odd.
No.
40 seconds.
40 seconds to go.
Is it still around?
Both schools?
Yeah.
Yeah, both schools are still around. Sure.
I'm
shocked.
I'm shocked too.
I'm shocked too. I thought this was a slam dunk that you were going to get to.
So did I.
20 seconds.
20 seconds to go, according to Tony Walker.
So did I. I thought it was Harvard and Yale. Seriously.
Okay. Well, you keep saying it if that's not the answer to the
I'm
question.
still thinking it is for some reason.
10 seconds.
10 seconds to go.
Harvard and okay, now
You know what we have to do? We have to get a white flag in here because sometimes I just think he needs to put the white flag up.
Yep.
But we have to let the clock run out.
Albany,
Clock is
right?
up, baby.
That's it.
Sure, it's not.
No?
Okay, then.
Well, you keep asking me if I'm sure, and I'm telling you this is
Okay,
what it is.
fine.
Ready? The 2 colleges that participated in the first American football game, Rutgers and Princeton.
I was thinking Princeton, Rutgers, but I wasn't. I thought I could have sworn it was. I knew Princeton and Rutgers were the earlier ones, but I wasn't sure if it was.
But it never crossed your mind to just yell out Rutgers and Princeton?
Well, because I thought it was Harvard and Yale.
Okay.
That's why.
I
knew
but
that.
But after the first 4 times that you said Harvard and Yale, did it ever cross your mind to maybe change it up and give 2 different?
I would have. I just kept saying Harvard and Yale because I was kind of frozen. Because even though I knew that Princeton and Rutgers were 2 earlier teams, I wasn't entirely sure. So, like, the reason why I kept saying Harvard and Yale is because of, like, I was a bit frozen.
Okay. November 6th, 1869. Not that there's anything to give you for it, but for a bonus point, or for a little kind of like honorable mention, Princeton was known by a different name of their school back then. So it was Rutgers against this other name, but they became Princeton. Do you know what the original name of Princeton
I
was?
mostly just know them as Princeton.
Okay, but they were the College of New Jersey. So the actual answer to the real answer to the question would have been Rutgers and the College of New Jersey, but just to make it easy, we say Rutgers and Princeton.
Well, I was thinking Princeton. I was not thinking College of New Jersey, though I will say this.
You were thinking Harvard and Yale.
Well, to be fair, Rutgers is also a college in New Jersey.
And by the way,
That's probably why they changed it.
congratulations to everybody at Rutgers. 2 picks in the top 5 in the NBA draft last night at Barclays Center. So, good job. Who would have ever thought? Did you have that on your bingo card, that there would be 2 players from Rutgers that would be in the top 5 in the NBA draft? I mean, I don't follow it closely enough to really, like, comprehend that, but it just seems a little bit of a stunner to me that you would have that. You can make amends now with a really good edition of This Week in Sports History.
Well, back in 2003, it was the famous 2003 draft class that had LeBron James go number 1. We also had Carmelo Anthony go number 3, Chris Bosh go number 4, as well as Dwayne Wade go number 5. Of course, we all know that number 2 is the odd man out with that, with Darko Milicic, who went to the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah, that didn't work out too well.
Though I will say this, granted, it's like Adam Morrison when he was on the Lakers. I mean, yeah, he got a championship, but it's not like he really did anything for it.
Yeah.
But hey, guess what? You're a part of the team. You're a champion in every way, shape, or form.
Thank you very much for that. It's time for the Coach's Collectibles item of the week. It's this Pete Alonso autographed Topps Allen and Ginter rookie card. It's encapsulated by PSA with a Gem Mint 10 autograph grade. That brings us to a very special event with Coach's Collectibles on Monday, a public signing with Pete Alonso. This Monday, June 30th, 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Mulcahy's in Wantagh. So if you're interested in getting Pete Alonso's autograph on something, you want to head on over to Mulcahy's in Wantagh on Monday night, June 30th, 6:30 to 8 p.m. There will also be a public signing with David Wright, who will be having his number 5 retired by the Mets, coming up very, very soon. That's going to be on Sunday, July 13th, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. And that's going to take place at the Marriott Melville, Long Island. That's July 13th, 11 a.m. to 1 and 5 p.m. to 7. I may have the day wrong on that. I think that might be Monday, July 13th. I think it is. No, it is Sunday, July 13th. Yeah. Well, because I should know that July 14th, being it's my birthday, is on a Monday, and that is also the day of the Marty Lyons Celebrity Golf Classic, so I should know that. But yeah, okay. I'll wake up now. Sunday, July 13th, 11 a.m. to 1, 5 p.m. to 7. Coach's Collectibles is your number 1 source for 100% authentic sports memorabilia and live public autograph events. Check them out online at coachescollectiblesny.com. It is now time for the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day. We post a new poll question every Tuesday and Thursday on the Sports Bash Media X/Twitter page. Here is the question for today. Should the Yankees sign Jazz Chisholm to a contract extension? He'll be a free agent after this season. And, of course, he came back from the injured list, and he has been ripping the cover off the ball. But he also had his little incident, with the umpire, with former Yankee Jose Trevino the other night. So does his temperament and does his personality warrant the Yankees to re-sign him now or whenever it might be? And the 3 choices are yes, no, or decide after the season. I love Jazz Chisholm. Listen, I know he can be a little bit of a pain in the ass with complaining about calls and stuff like that, but I would love to see, again, I would like to see the Yankees get a third baseman and move Jazz back over to second where he customarily could play. We'll go around the room. Wiz, what do you think? Should the Yankees re-sign him?
I'd wait a little bit and see how the rest of it goes, but I'd say Lean towards yes, but let's just wait a little bit.
And Griffin, who's endearing himself to me with a 2009 Yankees World Series T-shirt. By the way, I have the same exact one in a sweatshirt that I still wear. It's still going strong all these years later. That could not have been yours, right?
It is.
So that was. So where did you just get?
No, it is my dad's.
It's your dad's, right? I'm just saying. It's like,
Yeah.
you were what?
5.
5
Yeah.
at that point? Yeah, 5. So do you think they get re-signed?
I think they should sign him. He brings a swagger that they need. I think he's been hitting the ball well as long as he doesn't get hurt.
I would like to see him. Now I know Tony, you're a Mets fan, but if you were the Yankees right now, would you re-sign Jazz?
Yes, I would.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement on that. So there we go. Jazz Chisholm, maybe a Yankee for the rest of his career. This is some sad news, and again, being a diehard Jets fan, I'm still waiting all these years for the Jets to win a Super Bowl. So the one and only was Super Bowl III, and I only believe that it happened because I've watched the DVD of it over and over and over again, and I'm very blessed that I've had a chance to meet a number of the players from the Super Bowl III team, but there is some sad news from the Super Bowl III team from a couple of days ago. Former Jets defensive end Jerry Philbin, a member of the Super Bowl III championship team, passed away at the age of 83. Philbin was elected to the all-time AFL team, and he played in the 1968-1969 AFL All-Star Games. He was inducted into the Jets Ring of Honor in 2011. He registered an unofficial 64.5 career sacks. Now, sacks became official in 1982. He had 19 sacks during that Super Bowl season. We'll bring in our resident Hall of Fame expert, Wiz, Vinny Laspinuso. You don't really hear his name bandied about for induction into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. When you see those numbers, 64.5 career sacks, is that a number that sticks out to you that he should be considered for Canton?
I definitely think he should be, though I would say this, when it comes to Jets fans, you rarely see anyone mention AFL names because I would say, well, it's recency bias, I would say false perception of the AFL being weak, a bad ineffectiveness by the people pushing for cases, but you don't even see Mark Gastineau's name enough. I mean, even when it comes to AFL Jets in particular.
Well, I think the thing was with Gastineau is, and now Tony is putting the meter up because we're gonna head into overtime here in a second. The thing with Gastineau is, I think if you looked at Gastineau's numbers, just take his personality out of it, I think Gastineau would already be in the Hall of Fame. But because he was such a prick to a lot of people when he was playing.
You sure love making money off of him, though.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, but I'm just saying is that, I know Joe Beningo, who I work with sometimes at FAN, is adamant that Mark Gastineau should be in the Hall of Fame. Look, I can go either way. I waited. You know how I feel about Joe Klecko, and I was glad to be there a couple of years ago when he went in. But Gastineau was a story for another day. Jerry Philbin was part of a championship team. And 64.5 sacks is 64.5 sacks.
Yeah, but as much as I like him, I mean, I think there's other defensive ends. I'd think of like Jerry Mays, and when it comes to Jets of the AFL era, I mean, I think the more glaring omission, in my opinion, is Larry Grantham. I mean, Grantham was a part of 10 all AFL teams. He was like all AFL team member every single year he was played. And I would want to see Philbin. I mean, I would love to speak to his family about it, but I'm not holding my breath. I mean, if Grantham can't even get anyone caring about him, I don't see what chance that Philbin have. But
how about that card that we're showing up on the screen? The Jerry Philbin card that I sent over to Tony to put up there. That was a Topps card. I don't know if it was
I wish the Jets
68,
did more for him,
69. I forgot what that card. I think I have that card at home. I just found the image online, but I love the design. Look, he wore number 81. Look
nice.
at the image. Now, if kids opened up trading cards now and they saw that, they'll be like, what the hell is that? But that's a great card.
Yeah,
I have that one at home.
I like those old kind of style cards, but I'll say this. I think the Jets, I think a lot of teams should do more for their old players or non-players. And you know how I am. I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you've been dead for a century. I don't care if you died today. If I think you deserve honoring, I'm going to do that. I mean, this is a self-promotion here. I am very, very close to saying that I'm close to getting Max Zaslofsky into the New York State basketball.
I know you've been working on that for quite some time.
I've got in touch with his family, his son Jeff.
It does have nothing to do with what I asked about Jerry Philbin going into the Hall of Fame.
It does actually, in a way, because I've been trying to reach out to some family members and see if, I'd love to have a chance to speak to Jerry Philbin's, any of his kids or anything. And I think teams should do something. But if not, I think here at Sports Bash we can do something for that.
Well, we'll see. We'll take that under advisement. Let me quickly, tomorrow, big day for the Islanders. They have the first overall pick in the NHL draft tomorrow night. I guess it's going to be Matthew Schaefer. That's what all indications are. It'll be the left-handed shooting defenseman from the Erie Otters in the Ontario Hockey League, and the Islanders want their fans to make the most out of it. Big draft party at UBS Arena tomorrow. It starts 5 o'clock. Actually, the party starts outside at 3 o'clock at the park with all kinds of interactive games and things like that, and then 5 o'clock inside with games and the big Ferris wheel, and former and current Islander players are going to be available for meet and greets. And then 7 o'clock the draft starts. We'll find out who the Islanders get. Oh, yeah, the foam finger. All fans in attendance get that foam finger. And there's that one person I would love to give the finger to right now. But, yes, the foam finger gets given out tomorrow night at UBS Arena, and there'll be all kind of 50% off concessions and some new stuff at the team store. So that's going to be great. And then we'll see if the Islanders can get another pick and bring James Higgins back home to Long Island, because he would love to be a New York Islander. That will do it for this edition of Sports Bash. Thanks to my guest, Mike Vaccaro. Thanks to Wiz. Thanks to Griffin. Thanks to Connor Cal. Thanks to everybody here on the show, Tony Walker as well. Everyone here at Governor's Comedy Club. Sports Bash is presented by Ticketbash.com and the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund. Sports Bash is sponsored by the Embassy Diner and Beth Page, Coaches Collectibles, and by the Marty Lyons Foundation. For our entire crew, this is Peter Schwartz saying thank you for watching. Sports Bash returns Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Have a great weekend, everyone.